After watching Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 3, Episode 3, I realize Kirk becoming captain of the Enterprise is unfair to Pike's other successor. For decades, the transition of command from Captain Christopher Pike to James T. Kirk aboard the USS Enterprise has been accepted as a natural step in Star Trek lore. One of those fixed points in the franchise's canon that fans never questioned too deeply. Kirk, bold and brash, steps into the captain's chair and defines an era. But after watching Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 3, Episode 3, I can't help but feel a twinge of injustice. Pike's other successor, the one who arguably deserved that seat more, never got the chance to fulfill their potential. That successor is Lieutenant Commander Una Chin Riley, also known as Number 1. For years, Una has been the quiet constant in Pike's command structure. She's his most trusted officer, a mentor to the younger crew, and a symbol of the Federation's idealism tempered with empathy. Yet, when history unfolds, Kirk becomes captain of the Enterprise, while Una is left in the background of Starfleet history. Episode 3 of Season 3 doesn't just remind us of that. It makes it impossible to ignore Pike's shadow and Una's leadership. Season 3, Episode 3, titled The Weight of Command, focuses heavily on what happens when Pike is incapacitated during a first contact mission gone wrong. The episode puts Una in full command, forcing her to balance diplomacy, crisis management, and moral judgment under enormous pressure. What unfolds is nothing short of a masterclass in leadership. She doesn't command like Pike, nor does she imitate him. Instead, Una demonstrates her own brand of quiet authority, methodical, empathetic, yet decisive when needed. When a potentially hostile alien species tests the Enterprise crew's resolve, she defuses conflict not through firepower or bravado, but through understanding, earning even Spock's admiration. Watching Una in action, it's clear she embodies Starfleet's best qualities. Her leadership doesn't seek glory, it seeks harmony. She doesn't need to prove herself through risk. She leads through wisdom. And in that moment, one can't help but think, if this is who she is under pressure, why didn't Starfleet ever give her the captain's chair permanently? Kirk's rise and the legacy of command. We all know what comes next. Pike's fate is sealed. His injury and eventual confinement to the chair of the Talos IV prophecy are unavoidable. Canon dictates that Kirk succeeds him as captain of the Enterprise. But Strange New Worlds has done something extraordinary. It's made us feel the weight of that transition. When Kirk first appeared in the series, his charisma and ambition were undeniable. He's confident, instinctive, and willing to break the rules for what he believes is right. That's what makes him the legend we know. But in contrast to Una's grace under fire, Kirk's style feels almost reckless, brilliant, yes, but driven by ego and daring as much as by duty. Episode 3 subtly juxtaposes their philosophies. Kirk, in a parallel storyline, advocates for an aggressive rescue mission that risks escalating a conflict. Una, meanwhile, chooses restraint and cooperation, ultimately achieving the same result without bloodshed. It's a moment that captures a profound irony. The officer who best represents Starfleet's ideals is the one who history sidelines. The unspoken gender bias of Starfleet history. There's another uncomfortable truth that Strange New Worlds brings to light, one that the original Star Trek of the 1960s could never have addressed. Una's exclusion from command reflects, in many ways, the gender bias baked into the history of the franchise itself. In the original unaired Star Trek pilot, The Cage, Number 1 was already envisioned as Pike's capable and logical second in command. But studio executives at the time thought a woman in that role was too unrealistic. The character was essentially erased, and her traits were transferred to Spock. Now, nearly 60 years later, Strange New Worlds has restored Una to her rightful place. But even within the show's modern storytelling, her arc still feels constrained by the boundaries of canon. She's allowed to shine, but not to surpass the limits that history has set. Watching her command the Enterprise in Episode 3, one can't help but feel the sting of that old injustice resurfacing in a new light. Kirk may have been the captain history remembers, but Una is the one who could have redefined what leadership in Starfleet truly meant. Pike's real successor. It's important to note that Pike himself sees Una as his heir in spirit. Throughout Strange New Worlds, Pike's mentorship of both Una and Spock often feels like preparation for the day he'll be gone. But Episode 3 makes it painfully clear that while Spock will inherit Pike's logic and Kirk his legend, Una inherits his heart. In one of the episode's most poignant moments, Pike tells her before losing consciousness, "You already know what the right call is, Number 1. You always do."